A storm is brewing in Sheikh Hamdan's royal home, and this time it's not about politics or power. It's about love, betrayal, and a fight for control that could change the future of the entire dynasty. Behind the palace doors, whispers are getting louder. A marriage that once looked perfect is now falling apart. To the public, it's still a fairy tale, but those closest to Hamdan know the truth. Divorce is no longer just a possibility, it's a weapon waiting to be used. This chapter takes you deeper than ever before into private talks, tense moments, and a shocking alliance that no one saw coming. What's about to unfold could rewrite the royal family's story forever. For years, Sheikh Thani was the quiet, respectful wife who never caused trouble. She stayed silent through rumors about Hamdan's love for another woman and carried the heavy weight of royal expectations. But one day, she'd had enough. This wasn't just about feelings anymore. Thani realized her marriage was more than love. It was part of the royal image. A divorce wouldn't just hurt her personally, it would shake the dynasty's reputation, spark gossip across Dubai, and create political problems. So she acted. Thani asked for a private meeting with Hamdan. When they met, she was calm but firm, nothing like the emotional wife he remembered. Looking him straight in the eye, she said, "If you give your heart and time to Shama, I'll ask for a divorce. And I've already told Sheikh Mohammed." Hamdan froze. A divorce from Thani, his cousin, his royal match? It wasn't just shocking, it could throw the entire family into chaos. He sat in silence, thinking of the damage it could cause. Finally, he asked quietly, "What do you want from me?" Thani didn't hesitate. She turned to leave, but threw one last line over her shoulder. "End your relationship with Shama. Don't marry her." And just like that, she walked away, leaving Hamdan shaken. In that moment, Thani wasn't just a wife anymore. She was a player in a dangerous game where love, power, and legacy were all at stake. But the story wasn't over yet. Hamdan's heart wasn't ready to give up, and the past was about to come crashing back. That night, Hamdan couldn't sit still. He paced the floor, replaying Thani's threat again and again. On one side was Thani, the wife approved by his father, the symbol of royal unity. On the other was Shama, the woman he truly loved. But Thani's words weren't an empty threat. A divorce would spread like wildfire through Dubai's elite circles. Questions about the royal family's stability would explode. And Hamdan knew his father would do anything to stop that, even if it meant killing his happiness. For the first time, Hamdan felt powerless. He was a prince who could move nations, yet in his own home, he was trapped between duty and love. He knew whatever choice he made, someone would get hurt. And then, just as he was trying to think clearly, his phone lit up with a name he hadn't seen in months, Haadiya, his ex-wife. And the storm he was already drowning in was about to get even worse. When Hamdan saw Haadiya's name on his phone, his heart sank. Their history was full of pain, and tonight it all came rushing back. He answered reluctantly, but before he could say anything, her angry voice cut through the line. "Don't be a fool, Hamdan. Shama is manipulating you." The words hit hard. Old wounds reopened and anger bubbled up. "If you hadn't left me," Hamdan snapped, "none of this would be happening." Then he hung up, but Haadiya wasn't done. Still furious, she called Shama directly. Her voice was cold, sharp. "You shouldn't marry him. He cheated on me with Thani, and he'll cheat on you too." Shama stayed calm. After a long silence, she said softly, "If that's all, I'm hanging up now. I have work to do." The call ended, but the fire in Haadiya's chest only grew hotter. She wasn't just hurt anymore, she wanted revenge. Minutes later, Hamdan's phone rang again. This time it was Shama, upset but composed, telling him everything. Hamdan shared what Haadiya had said to him too. They both knew now. Haadiya wanted to drag them into her personal war, but instead of breaking them apart, it pulled them closer. They promised not to let the past destroy their future. Even so, Hamdan couldn't shake one thought. This was only the beginning of Haadiya's revenge. The next evening, Hamdan walked into Zabil palace with a heavy heart. Thani's threat, Haadiya's fury, Shama's pain, it was all piling on. But tonight he had to face the one man who could change everything, Sheikh Mohammed. The meeting started as usual, full of politics and state affairs, but Hamdan's mind was elsewhere. Finally, when the room was empty, he spoke. "Father, there's something you need to know. Thani said she'll divorce me if I marry Shama." Sheikh Mohammed stared at him for a long moment, his face unreadable. Then he said coldly, "She never told me this." Without another word, he called Thani. Hamdan listened as his father's voice turned sharp and commanding. Thani answered in tears, but Sheikh Mohammed cut her off. "My son has more power than a daughter-in-law," he said before hanging up. Hamdan stood frozen. His father had chosen his side this time, but the message was clear. Love didn't rule this family. Power did. That night, Hamdan went back to his second palace, where Shama and the kids were waiting. They curled up on the couch, watched a movie, and for a moment, life felt normal again. But he knew it wouldn't last. Somewhere out there, Thani was plotting her next move, and Haadiya's anger hadn't cooled one bit. Thani sat alone, humiliated and furious. Her threat had failed. Her father-in-law had dismissed her words like they meant nothing, but she wasn't done. If she couldn't win through power, maybe she could win through pain. And there was one person who hated Shama almost as much as she did, Haadiya Zen. When Haadiya saw Thani's name flash on her phone, she hesitated but answered. The two women had been enemies for years, but now they shared the same goal, stopping Hamdan's marriage to Shama. "If you help me stop this wedding," Thani said coldly, "I'll give you what you've wanted for years, a chance to see Hamdan and rebuild a bond with his children." Haadiya's breath caught. The offer was tempting, but there was a catch. "We share him," Thani added flatly, "you and me, but Shama will be gone." For a brief moment, Haadiya imagined the life she'd lost. But sharing Hamdan? That wasn't love. It was humiliation. "No," she said sharply. "If I can't have him fully, I don't want him at all." The call ended. Thani sat in silence, her plan in ruins. But her anger didn't fade. She wasn't giving up. In this royal household, love was a weapon, and she was ready to use it again. That night, the royal palaces looked peaceful under the Dubai sky, but inside, nothing was calm. Hamdan tried to enjoy a quiet evening with Shama and the children, but his mind kept racing. He knew Thani wasn't done. He could feel another attack coming. He just didn't know when. Elsewhere, Thani stared out of her window, humiliated, but already thinking of her next move. Every failed attempt only made her more dangerous. And somewhere in the city, whispers were spreading. Talk of betrayal, secret plans, and a royal scandal ready to explode. Haadiya's fury wasn't over. Shama had no idea what was coming, and Hamdan was standing in the middle of a war he couldn't escape. The question now wasn't if something would happen. It was when and how devastating it would be. What happens next will shock even those closest to the royal family. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. If you enjoyed this chapter, hit subscribe, turn on the bell icon, and stay tuned. The next revelation in Sheikh Hamdan's private life will change everything you thought you knew.